Good day, everyone, and welcome to this short session. So, in topic three, we are going to discuss on how to identify entities and attributes. So, this is just a very short session. Okay. Anyway, entities are easier to identify than attributes. Okay. So let's start. So, the entity relationship model, or ER model, defines the conceptual view of a database. So it's not the real database yet. It's just a blueprint. It's just a blueprint of your database. So it works around real-world entities and the associations among them. When you say associations among them, these are how are these entities being related with each other. So we are talking about their um, relationship. That's why we call this entity relationship model. Because we are going to talk about the uh, relationship between entities. So we are going to identify what are the entities and what are their relationship with each other, because of course these entities are connected with each other. Okay, so at view level, the ER model is considered a good option for designing databases, because of course it shows you how uh, the structure of your database is being organized. How to organize your, it shows you the content of your database, especially the structure. Like the design of your tables, what are the attributes, of those entities. However, we have to identify entities and attributes properly, because if you fail to identify the entities, of course, it follows that you will also fail to identify the attributes. So it's really important to identify the entities properly so that you can also identify the attributes of each entity. Okay? So yun dapat yung dapat na magawa. Sa una pa lang, you should identify the entities para ma-identify mo rin yung mga attributes na mga entities na yon. Okay? So we are going to uh, identify yung mga entities and then attributes. So ano nga ba yung mga entity? An entity can be a real-world object, either tangible or intangible. That can be easily identifiable. So, of course, uh, you cannot consider that one as an entity if it cannot be identified. So, automatic na yan, if you were not able to identify that entity, it means it's not an entity. Okay? So usually, these are real-world object. It can be also event. Event. So for example, in a school database, students, teachers, classes, and courses offered can be considered as entities. Okay, even enrollment, registration, grades, those are considered as entities for school database. Okay, so all these entities have some attributes or properties that give them their identity. So bawat entity, meron silang kanya-kanya mga attributes, na kailangan nyo rin dapat i-identify. So, you're going to divide, if you have a report, a complete report, you are going to um, separate those attributes, based on the uh, entities being identified. Okay? So, uh, ang isang entity ay dapat din na hindi lang iisa ang kanyang attribute. So dapat ang isang entity ay marami siyang attributes. That's one of the characteristics of an entity. Pag isa lang ang attribute niya, ibig sabihin hindi siya pwede maging entity. So dapat two or more, and attributes. Next we have, what are attributes? Okay, so entities are represented by means of their properties called attributes. So yung property ng entity, yun ay um, attributes. I think we have also mentioned this earlier in our previous discussion. Okay? So all attributes have values. So hindi pwedeng walang values. Unless these are optional like middle name. Some students have no middle name. Okay? But these are optional. But of course, they must have values. Okay? For example, a student entity may have a student number, date of birth, home address, and nationality as attributes. Okay? So you can also include their last name, first name, middle name. Okay? Those are the attributes of a student entity. Okay? So you are going to identify ano-ano nga ba yung mga data na related or nagde-describe doon sa entity mo. Okay? So, kunwari, yung isang upo, when you say chair, okay, chair, what are the characteristics of a chair? What is the color? What type of a chair? Okay? So, characteristics of a chair. So, it's like a student. What are the characteristics of a student? What are the data that are being used to describe that student? So, we have the student number, the last name, first name, okay, home address, even the date of birth, okay, and many other attributes. Okay. Okay. So to select attributes, okay, determine which ones have the following qualities. First, we have, okay, they are significant. Include only attributes that are useful to the database users. So kapag hindi yan significant, ibig sabihin wala siyang kwenta doon sa ating database. So ibig sabihin hindi siya kailangan ng user. Ibig sabihin hindi mo rin siya dapat ilagay doon sa um, entities mo. Okay, hindi dapat siya kasali as one of your entities. So, dapat ay significant. Next is, they are direct, not derived. Okay? Usually, we call this coded. Okay, these are coded attributes. Okay? An attribute that can be derived from existing attributes. Okay? So, example, pag sinabing last name, okay, hindi na siya, hindi na siya derived. Pag sabing full name, it can be derived from first name, last name, and middle name. Okay? So derived data complicates the maintenance of a database. So it's really harder to maintain the database if you store derived attributes or you always use derived attributes. So an attribute, okay, remember, an attribute must be direct or we call this coded attributes. Okay? So they are non-decomposable. Okay, an attribute can contain only single values, never list or repeating groups. Composite values must be separated into individual attributes. So, pag sabing full name is a decomposable attribute. Full name. So, pag sabing first name, last name, middle name, yun ay non-decomposable na siya. Yung tatlo na yun. So, those are attributes. Okay, it became three. Even the address. If you want to break the address into smaller components, okay, you can do that. So so that the attributes will become non-decomposable. Okay. Of course, they contain data of the same data type or the same type. Okay. An attribute can only contain values having the same and consistent data type. For example, an attribute with date data type should only contain date data type. Okay? So, pag sinabing date, dapat ang laman niya lang ay date, ang date. Hindi pwedeng lagyan ng mga uh, ibang characters. Example, pag ang format niya ay 01 uh, slash 28 slash 1989, so ibig sabihin, lahat ng data mo, ganun ang kanilang um, data type. Okay? Na date ang kanilang data type. Hindi pwedeng lagyan ng January, ganun lang. January 28, tapos wala siyang date. Wala siyang year. Okay? Kasi dapat consistent yung kanyang data type. Okay? So those are some of the things you should consider in selecting your attributes. Okay? So in here we have example here for library system. So we have book. Okay? The book here is the entity. Okay? And we also have accession number, title, author, year published, cost, and category as the um, attributes. So as you can see here, I separated all of this with separate row in a table. But later on in our next session, I will teach you the proper way, okay, on how to um, create an entity with the attributes using our notation. Okay, so we will use IIE notation in um, creating our entity relationship diagram or ERD. So ERM is the general term, and then ERD is the specific term, is the output of using of modeling. If you create a data model, your output is your entity relationship diagram. Okay, so book, so accession number. So all of these are the um, attributes of book entity. Okay, another is borrower. So borrower here is the entity, and these are the attributes of a borrower. Okay, so I will also give you an exercise. Okay, I will give you a sample report, and you are going to identify what are the entities and what are the attributes of each entity you have identified. Okay, so that's all, and thank you for watching.